We're live, Mr. Wade. Um, I'll act as the chairman for tonight, sir, until Mr. Brackett shows up, Mr. Gregory. And
Yes,
so
sir.
I'll just go ahead and I'll say the prayer as we normally do on
Yes,
this our
sir.
particular show. This is the Belizean Affairs Show number 292. 292. We're getting close to that 300, Mr. Wade.
Yes, sir.
Hope I
Yes,
live long
sir.
enough to see it.
We will, sir. We will. We will.
Okay. Thank you, Belizeans at home and abroad, for tuning into our platform program tonight. Belizean Affairs show number 292. We hope to bring you something that would be of uh, some public benefit to you at the end of the program. And we just want to ask a short blessing. Thank you very much. I'll go ahead and do a short prayer. Divine loving Father, thou who art the creator of heaven and earth, or thou who art our creator, as well as the creator of everything that's therein. We pray that thou must continue to guide and bless and protect us. Please continue to bless our family members, friends, and loved ones, wherever they are. Don't ask them by name. Please be merciful unto our mothers and sisters and all the rest of our extended family members as well. Please bless our country of Belize, its people and leadership. Please bless this country of the United States, its people and leadership as well. And in a special way, we pray that thou must bless the rest of humanity, especially those people who are in harm's way, in wars, in volcanoes, and tornadoes, and fires, and all sort of disasters, including man-made disasters, Heavenly Father. Please continue to be merciful unto us, and please bless this program tonight that we may do something and say something that will be worthy of people's interest and well-being. For we ask these mercies in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Are you too, Mr. Wade?
Thank you. Thank you, Leonard. It's always a
You're welcome,
pleasure
sir.
to sit in your company, and I'm glad to be back sitting here with you. Um,
The pleasure is mine too, Mr. Wade.
yes,
Thank you very much.
there's a lot going on in our jewel, so thank you for that warm prayer. And like you say, the chairman for tonight, Mr. Gregory Brackett, should join us shortly, hopefully.
Yes, sir.
He's in the background doing up something for us tonight. But again, the show must go on. Um, again, thank you for that warm prayer. Country
You're
needs
welcome,
it,
sir.
and the world surely do need prayers. I will continue, Mr. Chairman, with a reading
Yes, sir.
from Deuteronomy chapter 8, 28, 1 to 10. And it reads, "And if you faithfully obey the voice of the Lord your God, being careful to do all his commandments that I commanded you today, the Lord your God will set you high above all nations of the earth. And all these blessings shall come upon you and overtake you if you obey the voice of the Lord your God.
Amen.
Blessed shall you be in the city, and blessed shall you be in the field. Blessed shall be the fruit of your womb, and the fruit of your ground ahead, and ground, and the fruit of your cattle, and increase of your herds, and the young of your flocks. Blessed shall be your basket and your candle bowl.
Amen.
Blessed shall you be when you come in, and blessed shall you be when you go out. The Lord will cause your enemies to rise against you, to be defeated before you. They shall come out against you one way and flee before you 7 ways. The Lord will command the blessing on you in your barns and in all that you undertake. And he will bless you in the land that the Lord your God is giving you.
Amen.
The Lord will establish you as a people holy to himself, as he has sworn to you, if you keep his commandments of the Lord, keep the commandments of the Lord your God, and walk in his ways. And all the peoples of the earth shall be there, shall see that you are called by the name of the Lord, and they shall be afraid of you. And the Lord will make you abound in prosperity, in the fruit of your womb, and in the fruit of your livestock, and in the fruit of your ground, within the land that the Lord swore to your father to give you. That's my reading from Deuteronomy chapter 28, 1 to 10.
Thank you very much, Sister
Mr.
Will.
Chairman.
Thank you very much, sir. I noticed that I think it was the same day that we were talking about accidents and things, you know. Quite a few other accidents happened since then until now. It seemed like we're getting more people killed by accidents as a result of accidents in the country than we're getting killed by the so-called gang members them for whom a state of emergency has been placed in specific parts of the country. Whereas no state of emergency or any government emergency actions are being taken or put forward in order to adjust the road conditions and the behavior of the drivers on the road. You know, people who are caught drinking and drunk and driving and causing mayhem, they're not penalizing them the way they're penalizing. I mean, they don't even take them into jail for a period of time or long enough for them to actually figure that there's a consequence to their behavior. So, others that you, if you don't mind, I think our chairman is somewhere in the background. Oh, okay, I spoke a little too. I was just going to ask you to go ahead and do a little public service, Mr. Wade. Mr. Chairman, can I go ahead and make Mr. Wade do us a little public service, sir, before you kick off your program?
Go ahead, sir.
Mr. Wade?
Good night, Mr. Chairman.
Good
Glad to
night
see
to you,
you.
Mr. Wade.
Glad to see you.
Good night, Mr. Chairman.
Yes. You know, we always do a little sober reminder. You know, Mr. Chairman. If about there's so many continuous accidents that keep happening on a daily basis, and it's so sad, the fatalities. And yet you see from the time of memorial, you see them, so many money that is spent in retrofitting and in the name of building roads or building highways. I don't know, what these people are thinking, but they have spent a hell of a lot of donated money, grants, taxpayers' money in the name of, fixing our highways. And again, today I listened to the budget. It's more money for fixing roads, right? Seems like if that's where the money is, that's where the treasure is. So it's so sad to see how they use this in the name of building roads, how to bastardize the budget, and how they inflict pain and suffering on the taxpayers, all in the name of they're doing better with our highways. and the accident sadly keeps happening. For those who are experiencing it, know that it's all a mouthful of hot air. But it's so sad. So we appeal to the general public again through our medium to be mindful on the highways. Too many fatalities, too many of our lives have been lost, our loved ones have been lost on a regular basis. So, you know, that is a little public announcement that has been drawing our attention to to our medium here, and we disseminate these things that are happening to our listening public. So I just hope that they take heed. And on that note, I'll pass it right back to the chairman because I know that he has a good lineup and a lot of things to inform the nation about. Always thanks, Mr. Chairman, for viewers and listeners who tune into us, on 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We thank them very much for their support and their sharing. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for indulging me.
Thank you, Mr. Wade and Mr. Brackett. It's always a pleasure to sit with you guys virtually here on Belizean Affair. I want to say good night to the people at home and abroad. We thank you for tuning in to this, our 292nd episode of Belizean Affair. People at home and abroad and gentlemen, I don't want to waste any time tonight because there's a lot we have to cover. And I specifically want to deal with our Constitution, the Belize Constitution, because we know that we are in a state of emergency. And for you, the people at home and abroad, the discussion tonight will be, is this Constitution protecting us, or is our government reverting to authoritarian rule to try to keep us in check? People at home and abroad and gentlemen, I know previously on a talk show the Prime Minister had said that he wanted to give the state of emergency a different name. At that time they could not come up with a name, but I find in his State of the Nation address he did came out with a name. And we want to tonight get down to the nitty-gritty to find out if that goes in line, as I said before, with our Constitution. So we will have an open floor as we show and tell to our Belizean people at home and abroad. Let's go to the first tape.
And while he made no mention of the teachers protesting around the Serednikane building, he couldn't ignore the other elephant in the room, which is the fact that even during this ceremonial event, portions of the country are under a state of emergency.
On advice of the government, Her Excellency the Governor General declared a state of emergency on Tuesday, 6 May 2025. On advice of the government, Her Excellency the Governor General declared a state of emergency on Tuesday, 6 May 2025. This draconian measure was necessary to wage war on the criminal elements in our society. The intra-gang wars that kill Belizeans, that spread fear through otherwise peaceful neighborhoods and communities, which threatens our way of life, must be defeated. My government intends to take every step needed to excise this cancer. The good must not suffer for the bad, and we must call it what it is, not a state of emergency, but a gang intervention period.
It's a notable change in terminology, clearly meant to sanitize and normalize such states of emergency. And for the first time in 3 weeks since the hijacking, the Prime Minister addressed the greatest security threat the nation has ever seen.
People at home and abroad, and gentlemen, according to the Belize Constitution, any law that is made that is inconsistent with the Constitution is what? Null and void. So how can we say as government we have a state of emergency and we now want to call this state of emergency a different name? No.
Laughable.
Let me go to you first, Mr. Weird.
Laughable.
Mr. Chairman, for some time now, we all the state of emergencies that have been passed by past and present government. We on this program, Belizean Affairs program, have been talking about the illegality, the misinterpreting the Constitution in terms of when a state of emergency can be declared and how it can be declared as per our Constitution. But we see past and present government continue to pass these draconian and the man mentioned draconian law. If I may hear the problem, I know I'm not hearing something else. He mentioned draconian law. It is draconian law, right? So, like we always say, Mr. Chairman, these people tell on themselves. But we here have always talking about the way they inflict the so-called SOEs in the nation, and we talk about the areas that they always seems to be putting up these state of emergencies, and in the name of alleviating the gang killing and the gang situation. But my point is, so many state of emergencies, illegal, I may add, and they finally caught themselves now that, you know what, people talk about these SOE that we are passing, that it's illegal. So let's find another name. Let's see what they're going to say. So there you go. They found another name. So my other point is that to the nation and the world, all of these illegal SOEs, Mr. Chairman and Leonard, that they have been passing has not done anything good. Did not solve the problem and will not solve the problem. If they pass it, now I understand, Mr. Chairman, they want to do 6 months. And who will feel the blunt? So, to Mr. Brisenian, what happened to passing a state of emergency in the north? Corozal and Orange Walk, where numerous murders, heinous murders, I may add, and not to mention the cartel. Plain to be seen, they were boldly inscripted,
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Brisenio. But
Yeah.
maybe I might be talking a little too early. Maybe
Where's the?
you might pass it a state of emergency in the north. Maybe, right?
Mm-hmm.
But my question to you, why shouldn't you? And my other question to you is why is always the south side? Why is always in the black neighborhood where you said it, the little black boy and gang bangers, that's how you call them, while you ignoring the willful murders, crimes, you know, are you ignoring mothers and children and loved ones that have left grieving, grieving, you know, because of you so-called the gang problem, right? Has that all the state of emergency has that done any good to ease the pain from these children that has lost their loved ones that are left without a mother and a father, or these parents that has lost their children? Is this state of emergency going to bring them any comfort to say, well, yes, Mr. Brisenio, and then you throw it on the Governor General? You throw it on that the Governor General is the one. No, you is the one. You instruct the Governor General to sign, right? She did not. She did not orchestrate this state of emergency. No, you wrote it out nicely, and you just send it to her to sign, or your cabinet secretary or whoever is the next in line with her. So don't let the country see that, like, feel like, yes, she is upset and she passed the state. No, you are the one. Okay, so you must be careful what you say and how you say it, because if you don't know all the time, you tell on yourself, mom, right? So why not use this state of emergency, Mr. Chairman, and let the country feel at ease, and let the country see that you mean well, and things are going to happen this time, 2025, in the month of May, on this next. And this will not be, Mr. Chairman, this will not be the last state of emergency by this PUP government. It will not. We keep saying when it's going to happen. This should have happened before election. We said it. Check our previous show before general election. But no, they downplayed, and heinous crimes were being committed. But he waited now after election. Because why? He has the mandate again to do whatever the hell he wants to do and how he wants to do it. Back to you, Mr. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wade. Before I go to you, Mr. Brackett,
Yes, sir.
I want to remind the people at home and abroad that the government has tried to educate the public on the Constitution for Constitution reform. But here we find the government is bastardizing the Constitution. The same Constitution that he promised to educate you on. The same Constitution that he said you, the people, was attacking him on when you tried to get him to do the redistricting. With that said, people at home and abroad, I want to bring this back as a highlight so that you can know your constitutional rights.
How are your human rights protected? The European Convention on Human Rights includes freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, right to life, liberty, equality, family life, right to a fair trial, freedom of religion, property, privacy, slavery and human trafficking, torture and ill treatment. These rights are best protected in our own countries. But when there are problems, the European Court of Human Rights provides a safety net. What happens if I think my human rights have been violated? If I have taken my case through the national courts, but I still don't think justice has been done, I can turn to the European Court of Human Rights in Strasbourg. If the court rules in my favour, I can get justice, possibly including compensation. Governments also have to make sure the same problem doesn't happen again. Over 17,000 judgments have been put into practice. This has changed people's lives in many different ways across the whole continent. All this for around 10 cents per person per year.
I go to you, Mr. Brackett.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Would you afford me the privilege to read a part of the Belize Constitution so that people can hear what the Constitution itself says about what we are discussing here tonight and how these matters affect them or should affect them compared to the onerous, illegal, and bastardized laws that I don't want to say the wrong thing. I'm trying to measure my words. I'll just say the bastardized laws that are so-called, I shouldn't even call it so-called, that our legislators and government try to put in place. For example, quickly, right now, this new idea that the Prime Minister is putting forward has not become law per se. So he's talking out of the side of his back pocket without dealing with the facts as they're supposed to be constitutionally. They spoke about this idea of recognizing what we have been telling them for a couple of years now. That is that the bogus SOEs that they put out and the way they put them out have not been done correctly. They have not addressed them and correct them. And they pretend that, okay, well, they're going to formalize another process by which they're going to correct those deficiencies. They're going to exculpate themselves from the criminal conducts that they have been carrying on against the population of the country. And now they're going to come up with a new scheme. That is that, for all intents and purposes, it's an SOE that they're trying to implement. But now the Prime Minister is saying, well, the Governor General has decided on whose recommendation? Not of her own willy-nilly decision-making, or that she wants to exercise her powers that is granted to her, to even demand that the government do something, even if the government doesn't want to do it. No. They're the ones that's taking these bastardized concepts to the Governor General, who is compliant to their needs and wishes, under the hand of legal advice from the Attorney General's office, who the Governor General depends on largely for legal representation and advice. So they concoct this nonsense in the cabinet. As of today's date, they had the Governor General sign on to it under a new name, right? Gang suppression, or whatever it is that they call it. That does not exist right now in our current constitution. and has not been formalized by the House of Representatives since they didn't take the time to meet and consider those issues and pass them legally into the House. But these jackals are going to come to us and pretend that because they think that they're going to bamboozle us and act as scofflaws and act without proper authority, even though they're giving the impression that because the Governor General signs it, it is legal. That's a bunch of crap. The Governor General could sign anything that she wants or that they want. But if it's not constitutional, it is not constitutional. Bottom line. Section 2, Part 1, Section 2 of our Constitution, subsection 1, says that, please listen, the Constitution, this Constitution, referring to the Constitution of Belize, is the supreme law of Belize. And if any other law, such as what the legislators they make, even if all 31 members, 100% of them get together and make that particular law, if any other law, especially if it's not done within the bounds of the Constitution and meet the requirements of the Constitution or the precepts and principles of the Constitution, if any other law is inconsistent with the Constitution, that other law, to the extent of its inconsistency, is null and void. And all these people, especially the lawyers them, and especially the legislative people them, and especially all the members of cabinet, most of whom are lawyers, by the way, they know that to be the fact and the requirements of the Constitution. But they have no fidelity. They hold no fidelity to our Constitution. They don't uphold our Constitution. They swear to it when they go to get the powers of governance assented to them by the Governor General. But after that, they don't have no need or use for it. They ride roughshod over it. They violate it willy-nilly. As in this particular case, as we have said just now on this show, Mr. Wade, my cousin and myself, for all intents and purposes, it's an SOE under the guise of something new that has not been legally or properly authorized through the Congress. So even if the Governor General signs it, unless it complies with an SOE and they classify it as an SOE, and she finds that it is fit to be classified as such as an SOE, because to have an SOE has requirements and have particular things, thresholds that need to be met in order for that SOE to be sanctioned legally and for it to meet the Constitution, precepts, and requirements of our highest law of the land. Nobody just can't have and pull. Well, I shouldn't say they can't, because they always do anyhow. But nobody should be hard and pulling our legal system and our police force practices and have our police officers go out there and commit crimes against a whole section of the society under false pretext. That is what you call committing crimes under the color of law aforethought. In other words, with a plan. You plan to do illegal conduct, but you try to hide behind what you're not trying to tell the people is something legal or lawful. When in fact you're violating the Constitution. You're acting as a scofflaw. Mr. Chairman, I ask just now if you would allow me the privilege to read a little part of the Constitution. Can you indulge me still for another minute or two, at least 2 minutes? I might take maybe 2.5. Okay. Before I bubble up and kill the time, can you grant me 3 minutes just to make sure that at least I can read enough of what I'm trying to read, so people will get the sense of what is it we're talking about here, rather than just babbling in our own words and
Proceed, sir.
Thank you, sir. Okay, so I'm going to read from the Constitution of Belize, Part 1, Section 5, and that covers protection of rights to personal liberty. That is, I'm referring now to these people that they're picking up under the guise of police authority given to them through an SOE, which they're not classifying as an SOE, but that they claim that the Governor General has assented to, and therefore they have the powers, the emergency powers, which is basically what they're trying to get at. They're trying to grab a hold of emergency powers to exculpate themselves from the criminal conduct that they carry on with when they are out there underneath the so-called bogus SOEs them relating to the general public and anyone in the public, that nobody can question their behavior. Otherwise, they could accuse the person of interfering with their conduct of lawful conduct in terms of arresting or doing whatever they need to do as a police force under the extra powers, not the regular police force powers, which is what is already in place for them to use to go after the real gangbangers them and the real ones them that they catch. They know that they have committed crime repeatedly, and they know some of them who have not been tried and who have gotten away. They don't grab them and take them and go and try them. They come and try to grab everybody that's living in a community and take them up to Hattieville to let them cool off their heel. It's not everybody in those areas are creating problems.
Can you proceed to the reading, sir?
Yes, sir. Okay, so Section 5 reads as follows. A person shall not be deprived, again, the word deprived, of his personal liberty, save as may be authorized by law in any of the following cases. That is to say, under case number A, or paragraph A, in consequence of his unfitness to plead to a criminal charge, or in execution of the sentence of or order of a court. For example, there is no court ordering these police officers to go there and collect all these people, right? But even if they go there and collect all these people, they should take them to court, give them their day in court. No, they go on there, like my cousin Greg says, they grab these people and they traffic them. Human trafficking, basically. They grab them and put them in jail, and even their lawyers can't go and talk to them to try and get them bail or get them out of jail. And they try to do it now for 30 days and are intending to try and do it for 60 days, you know. But we'll get into all those details a little further on. Let me just read the rest of this thing here. In respect to a criminal offense of which he has been convicted, that is that these people that they are taken up and taken to jail and allowing to spend time in jail or none of them have been convicted, because if they were convicted, they would go and serve the sentence for their conviction. Okay. Under Section B, it says, and I think that's going to be the last one because there's quite a few more, but I don't want to belabor. Under Section B, it says, an execution of the order of a Supreme Court. No Supreme Court is telling these jackals to go out there and arrest people willy-nilly off the streets or interact with people, and if people don't respond to them the way they expect or they want, that they will then take their sense of malice and victimize people just because they feel like and because they're exculpated from that kind of behavior. The reason, I'm not even going to read the rest of the stuff right now. I'm just going to leave it alone. And I'm just going to say that the reason why they're putting this SOE in place, I'm saying specifically now, and you, the people of Belize, will bear it out as you experience it. That is that the purpose for jumping ahead and classifying this SOE as being needed, there's no lot of murderations going on in the country that the police force can't deal with it. But there's no group of gunmen running around the country trying to take over any part of the country. There's no revolution. There's no catastrophic incidents or issues as the Section 18 says that needs to occur in order for an SOE to be put in place. But because they say so, that's what it is. They say it's an SOE, therefore they get an SOE. The problem is that they're putting this SOE in place as a means of intimidation to the teachers that are going out on strike and any other potential people that's going to go out there on strike and cause a problem to shut the government down. Okay, that's what they're after. They're not telling that to the general public because they know that the general public would not stand for that and know that that is not proper. So they're setting the pieces in place, and they're going to use those enhanced police powers to victimize and pressure the public so that the public does not get the support that they need to put the pressure on the government because they're behaving as scofflaws. But I'll leave it alone because I hope we have a good night tonight. I'm looking forward to Wednesday and Friday of this week. There's a lot of constitutional and other stuff that we need to deal with. The public need to be on top of their business because they just gave the government a new mandate now, and they're going to use that mandate as a battering ram against us, the public. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Brackett.
You're welcome, sir.
People at home and abroad, tonight I will enlighten you about our Constitution and what is a state of emergency. Also, what is the doctrine of separation of powers. But before I do that, let's go to the tape, and I want you to hear what the Commissioner of Police had to say.
He's an idiot.
I want you to see how he is dodging the questions when he, as a commissioner, is quite aware of the law and the Constitution to which they have taken an oath. Let's hear the tape.
He's a hired gun.
Extension. As he put it, they'll do whatever it takes.
Honestly, while I am lobbying for it to be for 6 months, it will allow us, and the main reason for that, it was based on a threat assessment. And the assessment went from high to critical, and there was a need for us to do something drastically. Hence the reason I was lobbying. I was trying to see if we can put a 6 months in the first instance. But in any case, our strategies have always been on threefold: the prevention, the intervention, and the enforcement strategies. So we are doing all that we can to ensure that we return normalcy to the streets in Belize City.
So why was Roaring Creek chosen? Because no shootings or murders happened in Roaring Creek?
No, like I mentioned, whenever we do or recommend the SOE, it's based on a threat assessment. And the threat assessment in those areas that are affected was at a critical level. Hence the reason they were included.
So do you believe it won't go as long as 6 months, maybe 3 months will suffice?
Like I said, our strategies on the ground is based on the context on the ground. We have a wide continuum of policing strategies available to us. Where on the continuum we'll place the police department depends on what's on the ground.
So the state of emergency is not a policing strategy. It is a blunt instrument of the state to suppress people's right to see a judge.
Like I'm saying, we have a wide continuum of policing strategies available to us. We have a wide, from community policing to combat policing. Where we place the police department on that continuum, it's based on the context on the ground. And we will do everything that is possible to return peace, stability, and normalcy to the grounds. Please appreciate that the state of emergency is to allow the investigators to continue their investigation without interruption or hindrance from the gang elements.
Prime Minister said that it's not a state of emergency, but a gang intervention period. This seems an attempt to sanitize what is a suspension of people's constitutional rights. Are you in support of this language, gang intervention period?
It's the police department that has been lobbying for it to be referred to as a gang intervention period.
But sir, that is a bastardization.
We're in support of the gang intervention period.
But sir, that means that it's an illustration that all policing tactics have failed, and we now just have to use the most blunt and crude instrument of the state to just say, pick you up, lock you up, no judge, go.
Like I mentioned, we will do everything that is possible to return normalcy, peace, and stability to the streets in Belize City.
Even at the cost of the rights of persons.
I'm saying that we will do everything that is possible within the context of the law, within the context of the Constitution, to return normalcy to the streets of Belize City.
As we noted today,
Mr. Chairman, give me a shot now quickly. Please.
Please make
I
it quick so
beg
we
you.
can
I
continue.
beg you.
Proceed.
The police, or as you said, some police needs to be arrested, charged for committing crimes under the color of law. As in this particular case, from the police commissioner down to every other person underneath him, need to face justice. They feel like they are untouchable. And all these idiots are doing is setting up a situation where they will have justification. Then when people take the law into their hand, they will say, well, people are taking the law into their hand, and therefore they have to become draconian. They are the one creating the destabilization of the society. I don't know if it's because they want to justify their salary or what, but I'm plain and straightforward when I'm speaking to these matters. I'm not sugarcoating nothing. The bottom line is these guys are a gun unto themselves that wants to be exonerated and exculpated from their criminal conduct. Who is policing the police? Is my question. And why isn't it being done? I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. People at home and abroad and gentlemen, I asked the question just now about the doctrine of separation of powers. And I will say this to you. It is a part of the Constitution, and it is also a part of the basic structure of the Constitution that protects your fundamental right, Section 3 through 19, with Section 20 for judicial review. Now, let me say this. Why is the separation of powers so important? We have 3 sections: the executive, the judiciary, and the legislators. Anyone who knows the Constitution and know how laws are being made will tell you that laws has to be tabled to the House, they have to be read, and after they go through all their readings, it then goes to the GG to be assented. Now, if you listen to the Commissioner of Police saying that the police decide to came up with that name, the question then becomes, and I hope you all are listening to me, the question then becomes, Belize is not acting within the separation of powers because the police department has no powers over the legislator to call any SOE in a different name. In fact, if you read the state of emergency SI, there is nothing in it that says the police can go and pick up these people and lock them up. There is absolutely nothing in it that can specify that. And I want you, the people at home and abroad, to know it is unconstitutional, and I will prove it to you tonight. Yes, Mr. Brackett.
Can I read something in support of what you had said earlier when you said that when you mentioned about the separation of powers? I have a detail about 50 words that describes exactly in what it is. Instead of just wasting time, can I just go ahead and read it for you?
Go ahead, sir.
Just in support of exactly what you were saying. Okay. The Belize Constitution requires and mandate the establishment of 3 co-equal independent branches of government, as is the separation of powers doctrine. And number one, out of those three, you have three of them. Number one is legislative. That is the House of Representatives and the Senate and the support staff for those for the House of Representatives and the Senate. Number two, the executive, which is the Governor General and the Prime Minister and other ministers and of cabinet and members and support staff, as well as and government departments. Three, the last one, the judiciary. Now, you can count these not in the same sequence as I put them here, but they can be in any different sequence because they're all co-equal. Whichever one you put first, it doesn't matter. Okay? They all have their own powers under the Constitution that they're entitled to for their own specific function. Let me finish you the third one, the judiciary. That is the magistrate court and the Supreme Court, now called the High Court of Belize, and the Belize Appellate Court, and the Caribbean Court of Justice. And that's the end of that. That's just to clarify what you were saying earlier about the structure, the separation of structures, that these entities have their own authorities under the Constitution, and each of them are empowered, and they are equal branches of the government. And the point that you were bringing up, Mr. Chairman, is that there's a conflict, and we have a problem with the exercise of those separation of powers in Belize. And I think that's where it was going. I'll yield back, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Brackett. Let me explain to you where I was going. We have said it on this platform. I have said that Belize is going left, and that we are edging closer to become an authoritarian state. And here we are today, exactly what I have mentioned on past platform. And I will tell you why. The police department has no power over the legislator. The police department cannot legislate law. And here you find them changing the name of ISOE that was signed by the representative of the crown in the Governor Gen, that even the Prime Minister is in cahoots with it.
Sedition.
We calling it a different name.
One word,
and
sedition.
I will say this. When the separation of powers is working, the legislator is to make law, the judiciary is to hold them intact, to make sure that what they're doing is genuine, and the executive, backed by the AG, the Attorney General, is to make sure that they are not making unconstitutional law, and they hold them accountable to protect the fundamental rights of you, the people. Your rights from Section 3 to Section 19. Let me say this here tonight. This identical thing that we have in Belize has happened in Jamaica. And they took the government to the Supreme Court in Jamaica. And you know what was the outcome? It was ruled unconstitutional. Let's hear it.
Unconstitutional and a violation of fundamental rights. The Supreme Court this morning ruled in favor of a man detained without charge during the 2018 state of a public emergency in St. James. The man had challenged his detention on the basis that his human rights were violated. And Jamila Maitland was in court this morning.
For almost 8 months, taxi operator Rashane Clark was detained under the state of public emergency in St. James roughly 4 years ago. This morning, a 3-member panel of judges led by Justice Chester Stamp declared that not only were sections of the SOE regulations unconstitutional in allowing security forces to arrest and detain citizens without charge, but also that Clark's detention was a violation of his fundamental rights.
These regulations were declared unconstitutional as they gave the authorities unduly unfettered power to abrogate the fundamental rights of a wide class of persons in society without evidence establishing that they were reasonably justified for achieving the purposes of the state of emergency.
Queen's Counsel representing Mr. Clark, Michael Hilton, described the ruling as important in Jamaica's current climate.
The court also ruled on the way in which our particular client, Mr. Roshane Clark, was detained. The circumstances in which he was detained, the multiple times that he was detained without charge.
As it relates to his client,
263 days in custody without being charged is a whole long time to be in custody without being charged. And we're happy for the decision that was made today by the court. And I'm sure when I get in touch with him, he'll feel very elated.
The court also awarded Mr. Clark $17.8 million in damages for the period. Queen's Counsel Michael Hilton described the landmark ruling as timely following Prime Minister Andrew Holness's declaration of a state of public emergency in St. Catherine this morning. But while he wasn't able to determine whether this one was justified, he did say it should impact how the government goes about the detention of people during the enhanced security measures.
The decision should provide some guidance to the state and to the security forces as to how they carry out their functions. I can't put it no higher than that. But as to whether this morning's in St. Catherine was justified is another discussion.
Jamila Maitland, TVJ News.
Unconstitutional and a violation of fundamental rights.
I go to you, Mr. Wade. We have been saying it here time and time, right here on this virtual platform. We knew it. Section 18 of our Constitution specify what should be done and carried out to have a state of emergency.
Be legal.
The Prime Minister knew that. That is why they are trying to change the name, because they know it is unconstitutional. I go to you, Mr. Wade.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That is exactly what I have been saying. But furthermore, we continue to see these kinds of action, and I would hope and pray that some of these people that was unconstitutionally arrested, did everything wrong to them, wrong, and some of these people might still be in detention. As I speak. Say they might. I just hope and pray that whenever they are being released, they hold the government, this PFP, Johnny Briseno administration accountable.
They don't have the money, Mr. Wade.
Like I've said, they continue to bastardize our Constitution. They continue to do illegal things to poor people, to poor undeserving, to the ones that cannot, afford a representation. So they know damn well what they are doing, right?
Just trying
and sadly, the ones that can, what they do, they use the state. They use the public purse. They use the taxpayers' money to fight the wrongs that they have been doing. Right? It's wrong, but they're still going to fight it. You listen to I don't know, Mr. Rosado, if he really know what he's saying. I don't know if he knows or read the Constitution. Maybe he did, or maybe he knows, or maybe he may have. So I urge Mr. Rosado the commissioner now of police to read the Constitution. I, as a former police officer, knows that what he had said is wrong, right? And I know that maybe the reason why he said what he said, he has to have a reason.
Corey Favor.
But, like I say, it shouldn't be that way. You're put there to uphold the law, regardless if Johnny Briceño gave you a job or Musa gave you a job or somebody gave you, when I say a job, that position. I don't know how you got your position, Mr. Rosado, but your job is to uphold the law, uphold the Constitution. And like you said, Mr. Chairman, these people swore an oath. Swore an oath. Right? And again, we point out time and time again, when and how SOE can be held in Belize. You just don't willy-nilly, Mr. Chairman, and you just don't willy-nilly say, well, I'm going to hold a SOE in Southside or in Orange Walk or in Corozal or in Roaring Creek or in Belmopan. No, you don't do that. There has to be a reason, and it has to be a special reason that is put out by our Constitution. And as far as I am concerned, that hasn't been met. Are we at war?
No.
Huh?
No.
Have we been struck with a disaster?
No.
You know, so I cannot see, you know, how in the world these people are continuously getting away with these illegal things, illegal laws, you know, bogus charges, trump-up charges because of either the boss and I could do anything I want to do. And Mr. Chairman, you mentioned something very important. You see the road this country is going down. The politicians who the people voted to protect and serve, you see their attitude. The Prime Minister, you see their attitude, past and present. Not only talking about PUP, the UDP, same crap, right? You see the attitude of our police, of men and women who swore up to serve and protect the citizenry, the people who pays them, the people who pays them. You see their attitude towards John Public. I don't have to go on and go on and go on because their actions speak for itself. For those of us who are not mentally disturbed, are not crazy or stupid or lack talent, we can see these things happening, Mr. Chairman. The authoritarian state that we're in, you know, and the worst is yet to come by the same People's United Party government, supported by the UDP, whoever they are and whoever they are, because I cannot say who are UDP now, right? I'll say the opposition. Do they have any goodwill? No, they don't. They're just waiting for that moment to do the same crap, or maybe worse. That the People's United Party is doing to the people.
Mr. Wade,
Back to
if
you,
I
Mr.
may,
Chairman.
I just want to draw your memory back to how this state of emergency got to this point. Because people seems to forget very easily how past and present government do the people of Belize. What we have here is the fallout for the Common Assault Bill, where elected official was added on the end part of it. If you recall that in the House.
I do.
Common Assault Bill
Enhance
was to stop John Public from approaching the elected ministers and try to tell them about their bad work. Because what the law does, it protects them. They can just say, well, they feel threatened, or you say something to them, and guess what? You're gone under the Common Assault Bill. And here we go.
modern
The
Gestapo.
fallout of that authoritarian rule at its best. I go to you, Mr. Brackett.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, I love my constitution so much that I always want to depend on it to make it express for me. You know, I don't give it the voice, but I want to make it tell you where I need to know and where I believe other people could get to know as well. So please let me read this little part here, section C of the same portion that I was reading earlier. It says that in execution of the, in other words, they're talking about a person's liberty, right? How the police can violate that person's liberty is in the case of the execution of order of a court made to secure the fulfillment of any obligations imposed on him or that person by law. Section D says, for the purpose of bringing him before a court, yeah, he can be arrested for his liberty. He can be deprived of his liberty. In other words, they arrest him and then have the right to take him to court. After they arrest him or put him under arrest, that they then have the right to be able to shepherd him towards the court, to go and answer to the court whatever violations the government or the police officers perceive.
Mr. Brackett.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Then when the police approach you under the state of emergency, how can he articulate a crime or a charge?
The pause of the state of emergency leaves whatever the police officer declares to be the issue at the spot or on the spot is what the judges or the system would then accept. That's why they grab these.
No, you're still not understanding what I'm saying, though.
What
charge? What is the name of the charge? What chapter? What section?
Sir, what I'm saying to you is that by the time the police officer gets to the station, the officer that the police person is in charge is in contact with at the station because I'll give you an exact example. What happened with Mr. Faber just the other day? Okay, the police officer had no justifiable reason to put any charges against Mr. Faber, but by the time they got to the police station and having spoken to the police bosses, them and so on, they had one charge sheet ready for the man without even hearing the man complain or his side of the story.
In Mr. Faber's case, he was ignorant to the law. I'm talking about picking up someone innocent, like the two young kids that committed no crime at all under the previous state of emergency and was just held in the big prison. I'm asking, what crime have these young men committed? And what is the name of the charge? What section? What penal code?
Mr. Chairman, you're not getting my point. My point
there is no point, sir. You just answered the question.
Sir, let's not argue.
There is no point. You just answer it. Because you know why? There isn't any law.
You're filibustering me, Mr. Chairman. You're the filibustering man. I have to complain.
Go ahead.
I'm saying, sir,
There is
that
no charge,
in
Mr.
regards to
Chairman.
the
Let's move
question,
on.
in regards to the question that you asked, what charges do the people supposed to face, or what crime they committed? They don't have to commit no crime. The police officers, they go and pick them up right now under the present SOE. The powers are conferred to them under the SOE is more than the powers that they have as a regular police officer during the regular peacetime without the SOE in place. So as soon as you put the SOE in place, you don't have to commit no crime. They could just charge you with a crime. And you have to defend that, is my point. And that's what's happening with these kids that you're saying that they pick up. You know, they can't resist the police picking them up because the SOE authorizes the police to go and pick up whoever they want to pick up.
But Mr. Brackett,
which is illegal.
The doctrine
Very
of
much so.
separation of powers, as I said, the police cannot make no law. There is no law made for the state of
Yes, they are acting under the law that the Governor General signed into
under the color of law. And I will tell you why. It's unconstitutional.
It's
There is
important for people to
no
hear these
law.
discussions, right?
There
Because
is
then
no penal
it
code.
informs them, you know?
Listen to this.
Go ahead, sir.
They are acting under the color of law.
Exactly.
Listen to it.
Changing the name of something to make it into something else, to me, it's a very sinister indicator of obfuscation. Because my point is that when you say gang intervention period, it's the same thing as a state of emergency, which is a very distorted state to be in, right?
Yes.
Because a state of emergency means that you cannot access your rights under the Constitution, your right to appear before a judge, to hear the accusation against you. And when you change this to a gang intervention period, it concerns me. I understand gang violence, people dying, the communities are bedeviled by it. It's a plague upon our country.
Yeah.
And I understand that extreme people, law enforcement feels that extreme steps need to be taken to end it, to stop it. We've run out of solutions. That's what a state of emergency says. We have no solution.
Nothing's working.
Let's
so-
just suspend these people's rights. Lock them up without access. The problem is that when you change these names and you say it's a gang intervention period, it's an attempt to sanitize it. It's an attempt to tell the world, we are not suspending these people's rights. These are other kind of people. You can't suspend their rights. My problem is that when you start to do that, who are you going to come for next?
That's the
right?
thing, yeah.
Because eventually you'll change it if you have some pro-right person.
Teacher suppression unit or something.
Teacher suppression or the opposition suppression or the gay intervention period.
Yeah.
When, you know, if you're gay, we can't do that.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that you have to call things what they are, and we have to accept them for what they are. It's a very distorted state to be in, to have a bunch of citizens who cannot access their rights to appear before a judge. Now, let me explain to you the problem with this state of emergency, and these are repeated problems. I can tell you how it works. They pick up a whole bunch of people and pick up everybody. Then the police start to negotiate. And this is factual. Bring in a gun and I could go home. Now, these are the heads, you know. These are the heads. Bring in a gun. So one bring in a machine gun. Go home. Heads. Next one bring in a 2.9mm. You could go. They told one person, a woman, who is not a part of the current gang conflict, bring in 10 guns. She couldn't bring in 10 guns. So she had to give them a kilo of cocaine. They take that. So now this makes their statistics look great. But whenever you create a gun shortage in the streets, they're going to get it somewhere, brother.
Yeah, they'll find a way.
A man was killed on Friday and his gun was stolen. I don't know the circumstances. I know that he was probably set up. But you have to watch these things, right? Whenever, but it's totally transactional. So the only ones that end up going up on the SOE are the Lee boy there, who nobody ain't give up any gun for, and who no gun no gun. When they want a gun, they get a gun from the big man.
Yes.
And the big man never willing to give up a gun or didn't have a gun to give up to get them free. But this state of emergency, as it is being operated, is totally transactional. It is not a state of emergency to say, when pick up everybody and say, no matter what. Then when they pick them up, police get into negotiation with them. You have to give up a gun. And this is when you hear, a gun was found in a bushy area. A gun was put in a bushy area for you all to find. And this has been a practice of the police department from I have been in the media.
Oh, wow.
This is standard operating procedure for the police department, but it's magnified now because this SOE is a threat. So all the heads, up until Friday at least, when there was that other murder, all the heads were safely back home because all of them give up gun. Police look good, then got their statistics. Watch how much weapons seized. Artificial and false. Right?
Interesting.
So I know this factually because I've spoken to people in it. I don't know what, since Friday, the commissioner get vexed because another murder happened and everybody was picked up again, so I don't know who will end up going up. But it is factual that the heads of the gangs avoid SOE detention by negotiating with guns, which is a thing that police invite. Police invite them to do that. It is transactional.
Yeah.
So anyway, last words on that. Good, I've said too much. Go ahead.
What are your comments on this divide of whose rights matter most? Because that the SOE creates. Because people are saying, what about the rights of like law-abiding citizens that want safety? But what about the rights of these persons that are unruly or causing disruption?
You know, this is the difficult part of living in any country, in any democratic country that believes that you have a right to freedom until you're convicted by a jury. Well, in Belize it's by a judge, but that you're convicted in a court of law. So wherever we are in the world, good people have to live with bad people because the rights of all persons, we can't just start saying, well, you're not a bad person, I lock you up for the rest of your life. How do you establish that? Right? So this is the difficult part of living in a democracy. You could live in a dictatorship that just say, you know what, Jules is a troublemaker. Troublemaker to who? Right? Because speech can be criminalized. I'm a trouble with my speech. Right? Speech can be criminalized. And they're going to say, you know, you're a troublemaker. So I'm saying that why we have rights that exist for all and can be accessed by all is so that people are not unfairly victimized. So I agree, it's a terrible thing, but we can't just say, boy, uno da bad boy, lock uno up and like they have in Salvador. That's what they said. Uno da gang man, you don't got no right to family, to nothing. Lock up forever. Sleep on iron for the rest of your life. If that's a solution you want, well, that's not how a democratic country works. Because who are they going to come for next?
Right.
That's it. But very difficult.
Jules, I just want to make you know who goes have to shut it down. So.
There you go, gentlemen, and people at home and abroad. So, as we said before, unconstitutional state of emergency. And it has been happening, and you see all the backdraft that happen when these states of emergency come down. Gentlemen, here in Belizean affair, if I had to go to a percentage of the things that we spoke about here on this virtual platform and how many has come to pass, I would give ourselves a percentage of over 95. Because most everything that we have spoken about and we have showed and tell has come to pass. We are living it today. And again, not for it to be coming from our mouth about this unconstitutional state of emergency. I go back to what was said in Jamaica and why.
Illegal state of emergency has cost the government millions. Petition against SOE rejected by the court. Jamaica is using state of emergency to solve crime, but it cannot. They lock a place down for a week and grab both guilty and innocent people, and after the week is over, the crime starts again. This is no way to solve crime. Emergency means emergency only and should be used for severe natural disaster, sudden unrest. Crimes in Jamaica is every day, so if we think about it, how can state of emergency solve crime? And it is costing the government because innocent people are being locked up. People have not done anything wrong and should not be in jail. People live in an area where they can't help themselves living in because they can't afford to move out of the area. But it's not everybody in those areas, those crime areas, are people who are criminals. The government appealed against a Supreme Court decision that the detention of 5 individuals during the state of emergency was unlawful, was dismissed by the Court of Appeal today. The government are trying to fight it after the police lock up the innocent people. The decision had been reached by Justice Morrison and the government had appealed. The appellate court confirmed Morrison's decision today, which mandated that the government cover the men's legal expenses and was issued in July 2020. Everton Douglas, Nicholas Heath, Courtney Thompson, and Garvin Noble were the prisoners. In Kingston and Eastern St. Andrew South, Westmoreland, and Clarendon, respectively, the men were detained by state of emergency. The Emergency Powers Act, the rules and the detention of orders were all ruled to be unlawful once Morris heard the case. The Court of Appeal dismissed the government's appeal with stated jurisdiction. In his response, one of the lawyers, Buchanan, saw the decision as a vindication for Justice Morrison. In order to combat crime, the state of emergency should not be used indefinitely, according to the lawyer. And it definitely, how can you use it indefinitely? You know, sometimes we do compare it with a place like US, and maybe sometimes we are wrong to do this because it's one country is totally different from the next. But unless something really, really, really bad happen, they do not call state of emergency. And most times, state of emergency is just when there's a natural disaster. Our country, our government, we have to come up with a better way to fight crimes. Now, because they realize that the state of emergency is wrong, last week they had curfew. So now they leave from state of emergency to curfew. Now there was a time when they called the soldiers out and people would be so fearful and respectful. Now because the soldiers are out policing, because every week they are doing state of emergency, there's lack of respect for them now. Now they are playing the roles as policemen. And the bad boy them, no fear them no more. And this is one of Not all the reasons. This is one of the reasons why crime will never stop.
Gentlemen and people at home and abroad, there you have it, our presentation for tonight. I would suggest our government start to use the BDF, who is doing absolutely nothing. We are not at war. And go ahead and call curfew. I think that would work better than the state of emergency. I go
Mr.
to you,
Chairman?
Mr. Wade.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've been down this road before. I think the first curfew, first state of emergency in this country, because of civil unrest, I was part of. There is no civil unrest at this moment in Belize. So, it's all wrong, and you hear that. But you said, negotiation, to bring up numbers so that they look good in different areas, right? Which shouldn't be the issue, but it is anyway. And you hear time and time again, Minister, Commissioner of Police says, we know who these gang members are, we know who these leaders are, right? And what do we have today? Is Belize that such a huge country that you cannot find these people now, although you all know who these people are. You know where they live. You know when they bicycle they ride. You know the car they drive. You know the kind of weapon they have, and you know how much weed they have, and you know how much. You don't know everything about these people because I know a lot of them. You know call the numbers of how much are they, right? So what is the problem, right? Why these people aren't? There are laws already in this country. Why subject the entire country or subject the certain portion of this country because of a few bad people? And there's a few bad people. They are criminals, and there are laws already how to deal with these individuals. Why doing all this subjecting people, innocent people, to these kinds of your behavior, right? What are you proving? You hear a man along with Mr. Chunona when they sat on Plus TV and when they first introduced, oh yeah, know your rights, about our constitution, and one of that man, the attorney on that says, we have rights and we do not have rights. There you go, right? He said it. We have rights and we do not have rights. That's a big. Somebody will want to know what rights do we don't have, right? Or what rights do we have?
Mr. Wade, I don't want to call nobody names, but that educated gentleman is talking about Section 18 of our Constitution. Okay? That's the only time some of your rights can be taken away. And even Section 18 does not trump your fundamental rights. So don't let nobody come with that phony baloney to you.
And it has
As
to be
I mentioned time and time again, policies and SIs does not trump your constitutional right. Go ahead, sir. 1 minute.
Thank you. I'll close off by saying, these are the kind of people we have who are dictating to the people of this nation what you can and cannot do, and who can do what and who cannot do, right? And from the time of memorial, right? When is this kind of crap is going to stop, right? People need to call on the unions to stop doing these shenanigans and saying that we are closing down the country, we're marching against this and not only to go and negotiate with these criminals. I call them criminals. You go and negotiate. So why you subject yourself and your followers to these kinds of shenanigans, right? Do the right thing. You all have the power. You all have the resources. You all have everything to bring this government to its knees, past and present. Why don't you do that? Why playing games? People are tired of it. Well, I am tired of it. So I hold, you all accountable too. You're part of the problem, right? So until people organize and people say enough is enough, Mr. PUP and Mr. UDP, when they are in power, this is what is going to happen and this is what we want. Until then, this is what we will continue to have in our society. No more. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Wade. Mr. Brackett.
Thank you, sir. I want to go back to the clips that was played with the police commissioner articulating his perspective. That is that I'm sure that his perspective could have been much more informed, because we know the man have a doctorate degree, right?
So
he's a learned
Barrow.
person. Wait. He's supposed to be a learned person and a well-schooled person to have been able to acquire a doctorate degree. My personal regret is that his doctorate degree was not in jurisprudence or law, being the head lawman. Am I wrong? Or am I
You're perfectly right, sir. And I can tell you why. Go ahead, though.
Oh, no. I thought you was going to articulate something there, adding on to
Well, yes, I can articulate it.
Go ahead.
You know why? While he might have a doctorate degree, he's a commissioner and don't know the Constitution and refuse to answer the question that is based on the Constitution, the fundamental right of the people of this country. Go ahead, sir.
To show what they think about the Constitution. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Thank you. But Mr. Chairman, what we should not overlook is the fact that the gentleman is a hired gunman. Okay? He's authorized to carry a gun and to serve his masters. As the police commissioner, he should realize that his masters is not the politicians who appoint him to those jobs or those positions, but his responsibility is to the people and the Constitution, to which he swear to have and hold fidelity and allegiance to. And he should not be encouraging any kind of craziness that derogates or take away the people's fundamental rights.
That is exactly, Mr. Brackett.
Wait, quickly. He should not be proposing no stupid idea about making the unconstitutional and illegal SOUs them from 30 days into 6 months. He's going even further than the previous commissioner. Chester was as bad as he was.
Mr. Brackett.
But this one is. Go ahead, sir. I'm sorry.
You hear what you are saying, and you heard what he said. How can you say we will do everything in our power? Every time the question was asked, we will do everything in our power to bring peace per the Constitution, but you are violating it.
All he has to do is do his job. He's been paid to be the police commissioner, and his underlings are supposed to be out there doing their job, not committing crimes under the color of law. That's a major difference. They want to be exculpated from the crimes that they're committing, while they're claiming that they want to arrest people who are committing other crimes. You can't commit a crime to arrest people who commit crime. You then become a part of the cycle of the...
That is correct.
You're empowered as a police officer and with the state behind you to go out there and arrest and take to judgment anybody that commits any crime.
He's breaking the law, sir, and he wants to use the Constitution to protect him. He's breaking the law. And you know what? He told on himself. We, the police, the whole police department, decided.
They're like a gang themselves.
They decided that is what they are going to call it. Mr. Wade, I go to you for the closing, sir. 1 minute, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's always a pleasure to sit in your company. Leonard, it's always a pleasure to sit in your company. And thanks
A pleasure too,
to
Mr.
all
Wade.
those who view us and support us. We appreciate. We cannot see. I don't have anyone right now that I can bring up that
Mr.
takes in.
Rubina Forte.
And thank you very much. And I just hope and pray that we put across to our people that what's going on, and I hope they appreciate it. Right? We are about people and nation, and we are about holding government accountable for not doing the right thing. And we appreciate whenever they do the right thing, we applaud them, right? So on that note, I want to thank you guys and look forward for our program on Wednesday. Hope they enjoy our program tonight, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Wade.
you.
With that said, here and Belizean Affair, we say good night to you, the people at home and abroad.